Oh my gosh, Daisy! Over here! Hey! Come on, let's go in yay! I need coffee so badly right now. Oh, I love this place, Kier. It smells absolutely amazing in here. Ooh, I'm getting an iced latte for sure. What about you, Daisy? Definitely a caramel macchiato. Okay, finally. I feel like we haven't hung out in forever. How have you been? So good. Honestly, really good. Life has just been so full lately, Paige. In the best way possible. Full in the best way? Okay, I need to hear everything's life. Spill it all right now. Well, life at home with Jonathan has just been so incredibly sweet lately. I really feel so lucky every single day. Ow, Jonathan? How is he doing? You two are literally the cutest couple I have ever seen in my life. He just turned 32 last month and he surprised me with breakfast in bed. He is honestly the sweetest, most thoughtful man. Stop it right now! Breakfast in bed? Jonathan is an absolute keeper, Daisy Dine. I am so serious. And then there is Milo Pog, our dog. Oh, Emmy, he has completely taken over our entire house and both of our hearts. Wait, Ta, you have a DOG? When did this happen? What kind is he? What does he look like? His name is Milo. He is a golden retriever puppy and he is absolutely ridiculous, Di. Look at this face. Oh my God, Dana. He is the most precious thing I have ever seen in my entire life. I need to meet him immediately. You absolutely have to come over. Jonathan keeps saying Milo needs more friends to play with anyway. Consider it an absolute date. Me, you, Jonathan, and Milo Fe. This weekend, Milo, I am not taking no for an answer. To the weekend.
I stood in front of the refrigerator for exactly 3 minutes. Not because I was having some deep, philosophical thoughts. Simply because I was waiting for the fridge to open its mouth and suggest what I should cook tonight, or better yet, cook it for me. The clock on the wall read 6:17 p.m. Outside the window, the sky was turning a soft shade of orange, the kind of color I used to photograph and post on Instagram with the caption, "Golden hour before I got married." Now, it only reminded me of one thing. I was hungry. "Jonathan," I called out toward the living room. Who's cooking tonight?"
I said, "Did you want me to start dinner?"
Who's cooking tonight?
"You cook," he said. "I cooked yesterday." I closed my eyes for 1 second, inhaled, exhaled. And then I walked into the living room with one hand on my hip, the posture Jonathan liked to call my lawyer mode. He was stretched out on the couch. His phone was lying directly on his face, literally, screen pressed straight against his nose. Sometimes I wondered what I had fallen in love with, and then I remembered his smile. Right now, though, I couldn't see that smile. "Yesterday, your cooking was ordering pizza online," I said, trying very hard to keep my voice calm. Jonathan lowered the phone and looked at me. I looked at him. After 2 years of marriage, I had learned to read this moment perfectly. He was carefully choosing his next words, like a programmer reviewing code before deploying it to production.
Ordering pizza is still a form of cooking.
I had to choose the toppings, enter the address, and press confirm. That's mental labor. We stared at each other. And Milo, our 2-year-old golden retriever, the love of my life, our only 4-legged child, was sitting in the middle of the living room, head tilted, eyes moving back and forth between us, like he was watching a professional tennis match. I should explain this argument because it wasn't new. It was the most familiar argument in our apartment in Austin, Texas, more regular than the electricity bill. Not about money, Not about buying a house or having kids or anything major. Just the simplest question in the world. Who's cooking tonight? When we first got married, I thought we'd be one of those couples who cook together every evening. Like in the movies. Standing side by side in the kitchen, laughing, stealing kisses while chopping vegetables. Very romantic. Reality. Jonathan burned instant noodles during our first month living together. After that, I significantly adjusted my expectations. We tried creating a system. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I cooked. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Jonathan cooked. Sunday, takeout. A sacred day. No cooking, no dishes. Just waiting for the delivery guy to ring the doorbell. The system lasted exactly 1.5 weeks. Jonathan forgot the first Tuesday. I had late meetings on Thursday. By Saturday, we were both exhausted and ended up standing next to the fridge, eating sandwiches without even bothering to grab plates. Since then, every evening became a new negotiation. No rules, no system. Just two people staring at each other, waiting to see who would give in first. Tonight, Jonathan gave in, but in his very own way. Fine, he said, sitting up with the noble sacrifice of a man about to do something heroic. I'll cook. I'll make pasta. I raised an eyebrow. What kind of pasta? Like, boil noodles and pour canned sauce on top. I looked at him. That's not cooking pasta. That's opening containers. There's still boiling involved. I sighed. The kind of sigh I had mastered after 2 years of marriage. But the corner of my mouth betrayed me. I turned back toward the kitchen before he could see me smile. Forget it. I'll make chicken soup. You wash the vegetables. Deal. He jumped off the couch so fast, I suspected he had been waiting for that line the entire time. Much faster than when I asked him to take out the trash, change a light bulb, or deal with the tangled pile of cables in the corner that he called an entertainment system. Milo jumped up too, tail wagging wildly, following us into the kitchen like an unlicensed volunteer assistant. Our kitchen wasn't big, just enough space for 2 people to stand side by side without bumping elbows, if both were careful and no one flailed their arms too much. Jonathan stood by the sink, holding a bunch of bok choy, staring at the faucet like someone encountering the concept of washing vegetables for the first time. How long do I wash these? He asked, completely serious. I was chopping chicken and didn't even turn around. Until they're clean. Define clean. I stopped the knife. Jonathan, it's vegetables. Not a programming problem. I just want to ensure output quality. Just wash the vegetables. Milo jumped back in surprise, then stepped forward again because the smell of raw chicken was still too tempting to resist. Jonathan finally washed the vegetables. I chopped chicken, started the broth, cut carrots. Things were moving. The kitchen warmed up. Smells filled the air. And I started thinking maybe, just maybe, tonight would be fine. I turned to place the cutting board on the counter and realized it was empty. I looked down at the floor. Milo was sitting in the corner of the kitchen, a small piece of chicken stuck to his mouth, tail wagging nonstop, eyes looking at me with complete innocence. The kind of look that said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just sitting here. Milo! The tail wagged harder. Behind me, Jonathan burst out laughing. Not a quiet laugh. Real, uncontrollable laughter. The kind I both hated and loved because it was so very Jonathan. I think this is a sign, he said between laughs. Milo wants us to order food tonight. I looked at the dog, looked at my husband, laughing like he'd won the lottery, looked back at the dog, and then I laughed too, even though I didn't want to, even though I tried not to. I couldn't help it. Fine, I said, pulling out my phone and opening the food delivery app. But you choose the toppings, and you're not allowed to call it cooking. Deal. He raised his hand like he'd just signed an important contract. Milo lay down right in the middle of the kitchen, resting his head on his front paws and closing his eyes. His golden fur glowed under the kitchen light, and he looked so satisfied that I almost believed everything that had just happened was part of his plan from the beginning. I watched Jonathan stare seriously at his phone, torn between Hawaiian and pepperoni, like he was solving a difficult problem. I watched Milo sleeping peacefully, without a hint of guilt. And I thought, yeah, 2 years in, I knew I had chosen the right man and the right dog, even if tonight, once again, we were ordering pizza. We made it to Josephine House by 10:15. The morning light came through the tall windows in long golden strips, the kind of light that makes even a simple cup of coffee look like it belongs in a magazine. I ordered avocado toast and a lavender latte. Jonathan ordered the steak and eggs and a black coffee, because Jonathan has never once ordered anything with lavender in it, and I respect that consistency. For a while, it was genuinely perfect. We talked, really talked, not the kind of half-conversation you have when one person is looking at their phone. He told me about a project at work that was finally coming together. I told him about a campaign I'd been pitching to a client for weeks that had finally gotten approved. We laughed about the couple at the table next to us, who were clearly on a first date and both visibly terrified. It was the kind of morning that reminded me why I married him. And then I saw the boutique across the street. It was new. I had never seen it before. The window display had the most beautiful rust-colored linen jacket I had ever seen in my life, and it was exactly my size. And I knew this the way you sometimes just know things. I just want to look, I said. Jonathan followed my gaze. Then he looked back at me. Daisy, 5 minutes. You said no shopping. This is looking. Looking is different from shopping. Last time you said that you came out with 2 dresses and a hat. The hat was on sale. He checked his watch. It was 11:20. His game started in 40 minutes. I watched him do the math. 10 minutes, he said finally. And I'm waiting outside with Milo. Deal. I was out in 8 minutes, with the jacket. It was on sale, 30% off. And I want to be very clear that this was not something I had planned. It was simply an opportunity that presented itself, and I responded accordingly. Jonathan looked at the bag, then at me, then at the bag again. You said looking. It was 30% off, Jonathan. He opened his mouth, closed it, shook his head slowly in the way that meant he had already accepted the situation and was simply taking a moment to process it. Let's go, he said. I'm not missing kickoff. We made it home at 11:47. Jonathan turned on the TV with 13 minutes to spare and settled onto the sofa with the focused energy of a man who had fulfilled his obligations and was now claiming his reward. Milo jumped up next to him immediately, curled into a ball against his side, and closed his eyes. I sat down on the other end of the sofa with my new jacket in my lap, still in the bag, running my fingers over the fabric. It really is a nice jacket, Jonathan said, eyes on the screen. I looked at him. You think so? Yeah. He glanced over. You'll look good in it. I smiled, folded the jacket carefully back into the bag. On the TV, the game was starting. The crowd roared. Jonathan leaned forward. Milo didn't move. Outside, the October sky was still that perfect shade of blue. I thought about the farmer's market. I thought about the Thai food we'd probably order later. I thought about how this was nothing like the perfect Saturday I had planned this morning, and how it was somehow still exactly right. I reached over and stole a corner of the blanket from Jonathan's side. He didn't say anything, just shifted slightly so I could have more of it. That's marriage, I think. Not the plan you made, just the Saturday you ended up with. Jonathan does not believe in GPS. I want to be precise about this because it is important. He does not distrust GPS the way some people distrust it. Occasionally, reasonably, when the signal is bad, he distrusts it philosophically, fundamentally, as a matter of personal principle. I have a good sense of direction, he told me once, early in our relationship, with the quiet confidence of a man who has never once been proven wrong about this in front of witnesses. He has since been proven wrong about this many times. I have been present for most of them. It was a Sunday morning in March. We had decided, or rather, I had decided, and Jonathan had agreed, to drive out to a new trail outside Austin that I had seen recommended online. Barton Creek Greenbelt, but a lesser-known entrance that supposedly had better views and fewer crowds. I had the address saved. I had a map pulled up. Everything was ready. I know where it is, Jonathan said, reversing out of the parking garage. I looked at him. You've never been there. I've driven in that direction before. That's not the same thing. Daisy, I know where it is. In the back seat, Milo had his head out the window, ears flying, completely unbothered. I envied him. 25 minutes later, we were in a neighborhood neither of us recognized. This doesn't look like a trailhead, I said. I'm recalibrating. Jonathan, that's what GPS does. Automatically. I just need to... Okay, turn left here. That's a private driveway. It's... okay. Not that one. I said nothing. I am very good at saying nothing in a way that communicates everything. We drove in what I'm fairly certain was a large, slow circle for another 10 minutes before Jonathan pulled into a gas station parking lot, put the car in park, and stared straight ahead with the expression of a man composing himself. You can use the GPS, he said quietly. I know. Can you pull it up? Already open, I said, and handed him my phone. He took it without looking at me, typed in the address, and the route appeared, 12 minutes away. We had driven 40 minutes in the wrong direction. Milo sneezed from the back seat. Thank you, Milo, I said.